Hello, good morning, game changers. Welcome to today's session. This is day 13 of the COVID-19 support sessions, and I'm excited to spend these 20 to 30 minutes with you again today, guiding you and engaging with you, challenging you to disrupt the status quo and really go within and look into your life to see what needs to be reinvented during this time. What do you need to do to prepare yourself for the new normal that is going to come when we get out of this lockdown and this coronavirus pandemic? So yesterday I talked about clutter and the effect that it has on our mental well-being, and it was quite an engaging topic. I'm glad most people were able to engage and relate. So I'll just go over a brief summary of what we talked about and then dive into the physical clutter, because I talked about mental and physical clutter. Welcome, Shati. Welcome for joining the call. So we talked about clutter. Just in case you missed yesterday's session, we just looked at what is clutter really. Clutter is a collection of things lying around in an untidy state. That is a general description or definition of clutter. But today we'll go deep into why physical clutter is really not good for us. So I'll go behind the science of why it's not good for us. But we looked at it and we said that clutter leads to mental clutter. So the clutter that you get in your home, in your office, wherever you are, eventually affects your mind and how it thinks. And so you end up boggling the mind. The mind then has so many things to process, and it can't process all of them. And this is interrelated. I like a quote from Lawrence Peter. He said, if a cluttered desk is the sign of a cluttered mind, what is the significance of a clean desk? So it means it is what? It is a clean mind. A clean desk is going to be a clean mind. So basically that is how there is that relationship between the two. And we looked at the side effects. What are the consequences of clutter? What do we get when we have clutter around us, especially physical clutter? Things are lying around, a lot of things that we are not using, or a lot of thoughts in our mind. So we said first it hampers our productivity, because we spend a lot of time in that mode of overthinking and processing and distraction, so we don't become productive, whether it's at home or it's in the workplace. And then we also looked at creativity. That creativity requires space, it requires clarity. And if you're a creative person and you live in a cluttered environment, it is going to impact you. So you're not going to be as creative and productive as you could. So maybe if you find yourself that you used to write, you used to paint, you used to do so many things, and you can't do them anymore, you are just lazy, you don't get around to doing it, then if you look around your life, maybe there is that clutter that you need to let go of, so that you can unleash that creativity to actually come out. And it also hampers your peace of mind. So you don't have a peace of mind when there's so much clutter, whether it's relationship clutter or the physical clutter or mental clutter. And then even sleep, you don't get to sleep properly when there's too much clutter in your life. And then lastly is abundance. I don't think it's that I talked about that. Clutter, research has shown that clutter has an important role in blocking abundance. Whether you want to acquire abundance in terms of resources, in terms of money, when there is clutter, it's like there is that block that blocks your abundance. So the more you let go, the more you release the clutter, then you start attracting things into your life that you actually want and need. And I mentioned that when you allow excessive clutter in your life to go on for a very long time, it can now gradually lead you into depression. It starts with being anxious, then it gets into analysis paralysis, where you keep on over things but not actually taking action. So you are just aiming, ready, aiming, but you're not going to shoot. That's what analysis paralysis is. And then eventually you lead into depression, where now you start thinking things are not going out, things are not going to be better, things are getting worse every day. So that is really what it will eventually lead into. And I want us to look into really physical clutter. Physical clutter, I'm talking about things that are lying around, in your house, in your office, whether it's unused handbags, shoes that have been there for ages, suitcases, old microwaves, old toasters, old furnitures, all of those things, clothes that are too, stuck in the wardrobe on bags and you are not using. All of those things, they end up creating what we call physical clutter, and that is called visual complexity. Visual complexity, and research has shown that visual complexity has an effect on our feelings, which is why it leads to lack of creativity, lack of productivity, and all of those. It has an effect on our feelings. Why? Because we react to sensory stimulation. And sensory stimulation can come from all angles, from sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. So any of our 5 senses can be overstimulated. And it's when there is that overstimulation that now we start seeing problems. And for each and every one of you, the important thing is to understand, your home, is what is your stimulation threshold? If you know what your stimulation threshold is, how much is too much and how much is not enough, then you are able to reach a healthy balance. Like I mentioned, for me, when there is too much clutter, I get overstimulated. So it means I don't need a lot of clutter in my life, and I need to have a balance of things happening, things going on. But if it becomes too much, then it starts affecting me. So the reason why this is important is because we are limited, to the amount of information that we can process. We can experience overload in a cluttered space. So that is what actually happens in a cluttered space. And this overload causes stress. So the tricky part is that we all have different thresholds. And understimulation can also cause anxiety if you are understimulated. And if you are overstimulated, it can also cause anxiety. So if you are living in an environment that has a high stimulation, you have to know whether that's good for you or not. If it's not, then you need to bring it to your own level of stimulation. So I think the challenge that I'm throwing to everyone today is for you to decide, how do you respond to stimulation? Do you get an overload when there are too many things, when there is clutter, or you want a lot of activity in your life? If there is no clutter, you become understimulated. So where do you fall, in terms of stimulation and processing information? So this is where you want to find what is your threshold, when it comes to stimulation. Are you anxious when there is understimulation, or you are anxious when there is overstimulation? You are the only one who can judge, for yourself what really works for you or not. But the simple yardstick for you is, what is your first response when you get into a room or an office that has so many things? If it's an office, there are a lot of things in it, lots of papers on the table. What is your first response? Or you get into a living room, someone's living room, and there are so many decorations, on the wall, vases, everything. What is your response? And then secondly, what is your response when you get into an office or a room that is more or less blank? There isn't much things on it. There are minimal things in it. How do you respond? How do you feel? So that will give you an indication of your threshold to overstimulation. And the way it is if you work in an environment where it's overstimulated, you'll probably relax and feel better at home when your home has less visual complexity. So this is where you need to strike a balance, that if your career exposes you to overstimulation, then the tools that you have are, you can make sure that your home has less stimulation, because that is where you have control at your home to create that environment that you also, that you want, or that most. So that is really what you want to do, because visual stimulation is very, very important. Ensuring that stuff is one of our bigger problems. Where we have kids' toys, we've got many books that are not packed properly, we have DVDs, we've got videos, we've got cell phones with a lot of apps, with a lot of downloaded stuff in it. You know, we have got computers and laptops that have got a lot of things, old things that are not backed up, that are not stored. So really, clutter is so diverse. Now we even have technology clutter, where you are always, you know, switched on, whether it's on your device, whether it's on your, you know, your TV. That also now moves into mental clutter, you know, at the same time. So you really want to be able to diagnose yourself and see what is it that you need to be doing. Whether you need those many things hanging on the walls, you need all those decorations that our parents used to have. Like I mentioned, for me, I get overstimulated when there is so much clutter. So I'm more of a minimalist. But because I'm a D, I'm kind of disorganized at some level. But it's interesting because now the overstimulation part forces me to get organized. So if you can, my team, Faith, works with me. As you can tell, I can afford to make some clutter maybe on my desk for 1 or 2 days. Then the third day I can't work like that. So the third day, it means instead of working in the morning, I need to clear the clutter and rearrange the things so that there is space and there is air coming in. And I do it because I am aware, I know. You know, I find myself not being able to do things, and when I question, I said, okay, what's going on? The first thing that comes, I check, is there a lot of clutter? Do I need to remove that clutter? And then once I reorganize, you know, everything, then I come back, my creativity comes back, you know, my talents come back, so I get that energy of being able to do things again. So this is really where you want to look at the clutter in your house and see how you can declutter it. So like I've mentioned, you can declutter, you know, everyone can do it. You can go into your house and start preparing to do it. But it's a process to do it in a very efficient way through a clutter cleanse, where you are guided through the things that you need to do. And you are going to realize that it's not just even about getting into your room and trying to throw things away. It is a process that requires you to introspect, you know, and look at the things that you have, decide what is it that I need and what I don't need, and then set a goal of what do I want to achieve from this clutter cleanse process. Then come up with the action steps and find accountability, someone to hold you accountable to be able to do it the way that will give you better results. And you can get that peer support, where if you are doing it within a group, you can get peer support and see what others are doing. And maybe you're not going to be so hard on yourself. When you start seeing the pictures from our homes, you start seeing our countertops, and maybe you're thinking that I am worse. And when you see my countertop, you're going to say, no, I'm better than Coach, you know. Or when you see my wardrobe. So it's quite an interesting exercise that I've done with a group of other people internationally. And that you start even decluttering your handbag. If you look into your handbag, you're going to see receipts of things that you have long bought many years ago. They are faint. You can't even read what's written on that receipt. But what is it doing in your handbag? You're going to start seeing old handbags that you have never used. So when we do the clutter cleanse, you know, as a program, we're going to take out all of those handbags one by one, open them, retrieve what you need, throw away what you don't need. Even the handbag, if you don't need it, you know, you want to throw it, you want to give it away. So you're going to get the results that you will see immediately when you engage in a clutter cleanse program. So the visual results plus the feeling. Remember, we talked about emotions the other time. Last week we were talking about emotions. So your emotions and feelings are going to change the more you start decluttering. Because if it's at home, you're going to go room by room, you know, and we'll give you some ideas and the whys that help you to set the goal, you know, and then action steps to help you to move forward. So soon you'll find that your home is going to be clutter-free. And if you have an office at home, you will do the same thing with your office at home. Then you're going to look at your relationships, you know. Are there feelings and resentments, you know, up in your let go? Because we'll spend a lot of time looking at ways to clutter the relationships and those feelings as well. So you won't believe how much lighter you will feel after you have done, a proper guided clutter cleanse process. And then the other thing that's going to come out of the whole process is giving. You're going to find that you have a lot of treasure. You have a lot of things, because remember, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So you're going to have a lot of things that you don't need that you can actually give away. So and that will bring another feel-good effect, because you're going to add value to someone else. You're going to be able to give to the needy if there are needy people out there. So, and that can also be an exciting exercise, because I think as part of our community engagement in our company, this year, if it was not for coronavirus, we had set up a community event where we would all come together, my tribe, my clients, and everyone will all come together and decide on a community that we want to support, and then take our things, the things that we don't want, and go and collectively give. Maybe go out there in that village, spend the day there with them, cook, and then give away those things that we don't really need to the community. So it was going to just a community activity like that. So now with Corona and all these SOEs, really we don't know what the future holds. We need to take it one step at a time and see what's gonna unfold. But that is one of the things that we could do. We could be able to, we could give away some of the things that we are going to declutter, because we may not need them because we have got more, but there are people who don't even have them. So for them, it would be a blessing. And then one of the reasons why I said, if you declutter, you create room for abundance. We get to become so attached to things, things that we have bought in the past, things that we have had, and they block us from keeping up to date or buying the most current, most efficient things. And that even also has a health benefit to it, because remember, if you are still using a microwave from 2012, you cannot be using that microwave even now, because the more new microwaves are being manufactured, they look at the environment, they the gases that are released from that microwave, the radiations they improve on it. So if you are still stuck with an old microwave, it means you are emitting a lot of radiation in your house, which is not even healthy for you. But if you have not stuck to that microwave, you could have bought a new microwave that is more efficient and more environmentally friendly. The same goes to your fridge. The same goes to things that you are using. So clutter really blocks abundance. It blocks us from growing, blocks us from moving forward in so many ways, that once you become aware, you realize that you are really getting stuck on that. So that's what I wanted to really clarify for you when it comes to physical clutter. I know people will take it lightly and think, okay, I understand what mental clutter does, but what about physical things? There's nothing wrong with it. There's just so much wrong with physical clutter as mental clutter, and they're both intertwined. So you can't separate the two. The physical one leads to the mental one, and the other way around. So you end up getting that. And so that is why when you are aware, and awareness is no use if you are not implementing it. So once you become aware, you need to decide what action steps do I need to do I need to take. And sometimes trying to do it alone is not really easy. So that is why I shared with you the opportunity of doing it collectively, as a group, through a 14 days clutter cleanse program, where every day you work on one part of your life. Whether you are looking at your handbags, you are opening the drawers, you are getting into your kitchen, the pantry, bathroom, living room, your cell phone, looking at all the apps that are there, all the duplicated images that you have. You're going to create so much space, that you're going to feel it. You're going to feel very, very light once you have done that program. And I've shared the details of the program. There is I also even posted a flyer there, but I've shared the link where you can opt in. It's a very highly discounted program. Normally it's 750 pula, but because we are going through this stage of coronavirus, and because I'm a coach, I don't like to enable dependency syndromes and other bad habits. I'm not going to say it's going to be free. No, life goes on, but I've put it at a very low amount of 150 pula. so that with 150 pula you can invest and join this group, so that you are to coming 14 days to declutter your whole home and your whole life with other people who are supporting you. And I've shared the link that you can buy it online. You can go online on the link that I shared on my healthy website and then purchase online, or you can contact Faith Makondo via inbox, or use the number that I've provided so that you can register you. This is a group program, so you're going to start all the time. I'm so big in energy, you know, we are made up of energy, everything is energy. So if it's a group program, you're going to start it at the same time and finish at the same time. So that's why I'm saying that the deadline to register is the 14th of April, and we start on the 16th. So we are all going to start at the same time, so that we contain the energy of the group and do it collectively. So if you are sitting, watching this and thinking, this is really speaking to me, then I challenge you to make an investment of 150 pula and your time, because it's going to take your time. So make that commitment and register, so that when we start on the 16th, you are on board and you are going to get the support you need. But it's still okay if you are here and think, no, I don't need to be helped to declutter, I'll do it on my own. That's fine. You can go ahead and do it on your own. At least I've given you the tools. I've shared with you why you need to do it and how you can actually do it. So that's what I wanted to really clarify today. Yes, Maran said, I like the idea of giving back, you know, as a community. Yes, you know, there's so much that we can do collectively. You know, individually we can do something, but collectively we can do so much. We can do so much collectively. It can magnify the impact that we do. So if I have my own clothes that I want to give, you have your own clothes, you know, you have your own furniture and everything, and we collectively do it. If you are in Maun, we bring together the tribe that's in Maun to do it. Francistown, the tribe that's in Francistown to do it. You know, everywhere we are, we can do it collectively, because we are a big tribe here, you know, as game changers. So we can all coordinate it and do it. And if you want to even have a bigger impact, we do it on the same day. So if we choose a date, if it's a Saturday, we are all doing it at that date, at that time, regardless of where we are. So that will really create a ripple effect in terms of the impact that we all do at the same time. So yeah, Maran, it is really good to do that as a community instead of as an individual. Okay, so it's saying clothes, got lots of them. Yes, even those clothes you can get some. You can get some of them and give them away. And we'll talk about, when we do the program, we'll talk about giving and breaking, so that categorize the things that you want to give. Maybe you want to start, some you may give to your close relatives, but I get the most joy when I give to people that I don't know. But I always say charity begins at home. So I don't think you need to start going to give far when you have not given closer to you. So you then categorize your things and say, okay, these ones I'm giving to my close relatives, my neighbors that I know are less privileged, and then the others can now need to go and give collectively as a group, you know. Okay, Doreen is saying he missed the connection. 150, 150 is for the clutter cleanse program, Doreen. It's a 14 days clutter cleanse program, where one day we declutter a certain part of your life and your home, and you just move from maybe room by room, item by item. So that's what I was talking about when I said the 150. And as I mentioned, I do have an annual membership program. There are some members here. So if you are a member of the Natural Health Mission, you don't need to pay for this program. It's part of the membership program. So you will just receive information from us on how to get started. So you don't need to be paying for that. That's part of your annual membership. Remember, we did the detox, which is more of the body in terms of food. This is another form of detox, where we are now detoxing your environment. We will do a mind detox, which is going to be 28 days of mindfulness. So it's going to come up in the coming months. And I think I don't want these sessions to go more than 30 minutes, especially here on Facebook. So I'm going to wait to see if there are any questions that I can respond to now, any awareness that you are getting as I share these basic principles, Yeah, I say your mind gets blocked when there is clutter on your table. Yeah, my mind just switches off when there is clutter. So really that is how, for me, I get overstimulated. So have we saying clutter is like negative attitude attracts negative energies most? Yes, clutter attracts negative energy and emotions. So that's why we need to really work on that. And as I say, in my closet, I have a shirt that we long bought back in 2005. It's been over 5 years, but I find it hard to let it go. So we're going to talk about that as well in the program, about emotions, those attachments. Why are you attached to it? And what's going on? So we'll process that attachment and that emotion and help release, effortlessly, without forcing yourself to do that releasing. Hi Bonolo. Yeah, top of the morning. Yeah, we are here. And then okay, Doreen was also saying, we're giving out the community assessment. Awesome idea. I have a bag full of unused clothes. Yes, and it's gonna be a very great exercise if we do it, because wherever you are going to be part of the community doing it. In if you are in Molepunle, you will do it there. If you are in Khabani, you will find other people here in the community who are in Khabani and get to actually do it. So yeah, that is that. I think let's stop it there. Yeah, but notice I like the idea of doing it on the same time. Yeah, there is so much power in doing things collectively. The energy, it and the impact, it ripples. So you do it on the same day, at the same time, but in different places. So we are kind of connected by the intention, connected by the energy. So it really replicates. So that's what I'm thinking that we could actually do, and it will bring some fun there as well. Yeah, welcome. Okay, I see Edith just joined in. Welcome. We are just finishing, but if you just are logged in, you will catch the recording, because I'm not going to be long. If there are no questions and no comments, then I'm going to end the session, and I'll respond to some of your comments in the group. Otherwise, it's a great day. We continue. The lockdown is going on, and tomorrow going to be an exciting session that I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about your new bag, your new toolbox that you are taking post coronavirus state. So what do you want in that bag? What are you taking in there? So we're going to look at that, and we're going to look at whether you have a process, an operating system to help you stay through these days. Because everything has an operating system. Phones have operating systems. We also need to have that operating system that will guide us, especially when you've got ample of unstructured time. If you don't have an operating system, you're going to find yourself all over. So I know for people who have been in my retreats, we have kind of put that operating system in place. So if you haven't done that, you have an opportunity to look at what does your operating system looks like, and what is guiding your day, what is guiding your work. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Okay. So thank you very much for showing up. The attendance was good. I appreciate your commitment. I don't take it lightly, because it doesn't come easy to make a commitment to be there for something every day at the same time. But it's building consistency and developing that muscle for you to work on yourself and on your life. So thank you very much. Have a blessed Monday.